Okay, we got a couple of hours this evening left that we can work. And I've got help this week. She's been amazing to have, and gosh damn, it's been so good to have her help along to be able to get all these things done. She and I have been friends for 30 years, and luckily enough to be able to call her my sister-in-law for the last 20 of that. She and I just work so well together, and we match pace and in so many things, and we just do good together. So we're gonna take some time and see if we can get some Tyvek wrapped around this shop again. We went through and cut out any pieces that had big holes or tears in it from weathering the storm for us for the last year. And some of the flashing on the top of the windows has finally started to peel off in the sun and the heat. Most of this is going to get just an overlap anyway. You can see that there's some weathering and some aging on the wood, but it's all in all, it's in good condition. It's fine enough that it's not going to be an issue. It's, you know, if it was going to be much longer, it would definitely take a beating and have to be reconsidered, but everything's in good shape. Surface looks rough, but it's not nearly as rough as it may look. And then we're going to try to get the header plates on. I don't know if we're going to get to that tonight or not. We'll get working on getting that going along with all the other 1,000 projects we have going. So Kim's working on the back right now, just pulling. All of that's in good shape. It's sagged a little bit just from the wind kind of stretching at it and stuff. So she's just going through and just kind of brushing it up with her hand and tacking it back up to make sure it stays up nice and straight. And then we'll be ready over there, and we'll come over here and patch up this with a new sheet. Once we got the bottom row all set and reset and everything good, then we'll come back around and wrap the top half. Now obviously I got a couple of things I got to take off. These cameras, I think that's mostly it. The cameras need to come off of up there. Peel that off, we'll wrap that top half and start buttoning this thing up on the outside. It's going to be a minute because I'm going to have to order the metal, but once we get it bolted up, we can get the measurements exact and we can order the metal that we need, the length it needs to be. We'll get up and do the bird blocking, do the soffit fascia and the upper sheet metal and flashing, the lower sheet metal. And when we can get to it, when we get the time and the money to get to it, we'll start building first this front porch covered lean-to. This is intended to be open exposure down this side and halfway around on the back side. Once we roof this, it's going to pretty well be finished how we wanted it. The back side, we got a lot more work to go in, a lot more money to go into footings and retention and drains and all kinds of things to be able to build that lean-to. So that one's going to have to still wait longer than this front side. That's just the update of how the shop needs to go with the exterior, but see if we can get siding on it, at least on the main structure, and then we can add lean-tos and go from there as we can with the preparations in place. Go ahead and set your platform here where the most sag is.
Okay.
And just go ahead and just kind of lift that sag. Watch it with your arm like you were. Yep. Brush it up. Yep. Go right there and hold in place. Trying to keep that shop nice and cold. That's reflecting a ton of heat. Holy cow. You kind of go up here first and I'll kind of follow in. I'll hit 2 or 3 down here while you hit that top. I'm just worried about the top. Insulation I found.
So you're just creating a flat surface for the
Yeah, this is all
lie on.
that all needed to get trimmed out from the expansion. And I'll just wrap that house wrap around that edge. Well, we got our slash pile burned off. We've got all the logs gathered up and hauled off and out of here and put away. So now we are ready to begin the final bits of cleanup removal so that we can get started shaping and cutting this. What we got to do right now is come up here and pull this fence line back to the corner post up there. Roll that back. We're going to restring it down here in a line about like so to come over here to the back side of where the new coop is going to be. I've got a few things in the ground to worry about though. I've got right down this path about right here, I've got our main water line. Comes down and comes close past here and works on through. I know I'm going to have to dig up this hydrant and move it back because I want it inside the new coop so that we don't have to worry about digging the snow off the top to get down to it to reach the valve to turn it on in the winter when we're watering. We've done that more than once and that gets tiring. So we're going to move that into here, move the conduit into here. But for now, we need to get started with these fences and getting them cleared out of the way. But we've got to shape some of this flat into the yard space up here for the pen. and into this space that will transition into the coop. And I need to blend all that out. Now this fence is just going to be here for this small pasture, which we call the poultry pasture, and that fence line will come down here. So I'm going to peel it out here, and then I can shape this upper edge and slope everything off. I want just a gradual slope to the road surface so that we don't have the slough off that we've had. This part of the road has been part of the pasture in the past, and our animals love to walk the fence lines. So they walk up and down on this, and they start eroding it down and eroding it away. We don't plan to have this included in the pasture for the animals anymore. And that's why this fence line's coming off and will go away. That way we're not having to worry about it with the snow removal and damaging the fence from trying to throw snow over it or anything like that. Here, all these posts and gate posts and everything is coming out right here, so that this ground can get leveled. Then we can get up into the main pasture space. I think it's dry enough and loose enough. I don't think I'll have to use the beam blade in there. I think I can just use the tractor and rake it around with the tractor blade. Knock anything down that's big, gather any trees and limbs and stuff, and kind of work that all up so that we can get some pasture grass going in it this fall. Lovely fencing time. We're going to get working on that and try to get these posts out and fence rolled up and see what we can do. pull the string line. Oh. Then I want to make sure we got plenty of connection of rope line. Probably right on that edge. We carry the road right through that. Yeah. Then we can link there. Play with the distance. Basically 50 feet. I was thinking 30, 34. We grab another stake and we'll go from our max line here back. What's our length? Get ready. Isn't that just so deceiving?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were up here and we were measuring and building the
Yes.
pavilion?
Yeah.
And we used the transit, or we were trying to use the transit and stuff. Yeah. And we were like, no way. It's like here, the thing must have been broken. It's 40 years old, the level's got to be off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we put like a 20-foot 2x4 and a level on it, and it was dead on. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It just looked so flat. Yeah, so we've got 8 inches of drop from here to there. Yeah. I don't know how I'm even thinking about laying out a project without having magic paint.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez. It's no wonder it's not working. I don't have the magic paint.
At least you found your tape measure.
Yeah. Stole it out of my tractor. We had to spend a bit of time like trying to find the balance between orientation, elevation, and distance, because the closer we are to the water line, the more it has a play in the factors. And we ended up kicking that end of the building uphill, and we only went uphill about 4 feet from our original plan. And by doing that, we gained like 2.5 feet of elevation in the native soil. So we got that much closer to the ground, and it turned our entry point into the coop away from the water line more, so that we are oriented more in a way that we can transition. When we first looked at it, we were like, we got it laid in there and got the best elevation we could, and we were going to end up with like a boulder wall the size of the shop boulder wall, but half as long, with the second tier beyond it all along the building, just to get the soil retained up underneath. It was just going to get really complicated really fast. We still are going to need some boulders just for slough off on the uphill side now, but just a row of like 2-foot rocks And we can put them across the uphill side just to keep it from sloughing in against the building and give it a step down instead. And we'll wrap that. So there's probably 25 rocks maybe or something in a row, but a single row. This string represents the floor height.
Really?
Okay, now we couldn't run the string up there because at that corner, we have to dig down 8 inches to get to this string height.
Oh my,
And
okay.
at that stake corner, we have to dig down 2.5 feet to get to this floor height. It's 2.5 feet in at that stake, 8 inches down at this stake, string here and string there. So that represents the floor. It is shorter than what I was hoping to fit. I was hoping to get 36 foot total length. We got 32 feet that we can work with.
That's still pretty
Still
decent.
plenty.
How wide is it? 32, 12? Okay.
It seems enormous, but we've got 4 or 5 feet, 6 feet of the entrance is like closed in housing for like the hydrant, so that we're not having to dig down with shovels to get to it in the winter. We'll have room in there for extra storage of like the wood ash for their
For the dust baths.
and just general supplies, be able to store extra bedding,
Calcium.
bags of bedding, bags of calcium, stuff like that in there that's closed in from the elements. And then we have the coop space with enough room to have a section to section off for the pullets as we raise the pullets for chicks. And then we have the closed in run. It's roofed run because in the winter time we got nothing and they get crowded in the building. So that gives them room to work out. We are going to have to move the water line and the conduit back to here. A little bit of work there, digging this up and relocating it before we got to kind of get it in the center line here and in, so we don't disturb the native for the footer. Now all this was going to be post footings and post framed.
And then the roof is going to be solar panels.
Probably because it's cheaper. We can buy big solar panels for cheap compared to the cost of steel roofing.
We actually have some just laying around not being used.
Like 18 panels, and that's exactly how many panels we have down off the hill.
Yeah.
We have 12 installed and 6 in storage. We can get them up here and use them for the roof and then get them off the ground. And we'll get at least as much harvest off there, if not more.
Well, the way you got it facing too.
Yeah, it's facing our best sun angle. We'll get more harvest from here till the evening, and we'll have more hours of harvest. And that's just what we've experienced and documented.
Yeah.
For up here in this ground. So we have power from the power panel we ran from that shelter, and that gives us the path to run the solar wires back down both paths to get back into the building. I think it's gonna work.
My plan for this area here is I want to put wildflowers in here and grasses, like really good grasses. And then I want to put different types of herbs that spread really well, that are really good for gut flora for the chickens and like deworming kind of style, like oregano, lavender, those kind of things. But they're not going to be out here full time. They're only going to be out here and there, but they're going to be mostly contained. It's time to contain them and then only let them out when they're kind of supervised. Anyways, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to show you guys the final project.